Welcome everyone to December's community call. I hope you're well. We haven't convened for such a call in 2 months because the way we're going to do these things now is going to be slightly different. It's going to be every 2 months. So we have more news to bring to you. In fact, today is a really big day. It's the chip announcement, which has already been announced. And yes, it's going to be Hugo and I covering several topics. So I'm going to start off by going with Luke's update. So I'm quoting him when I talk, okay? I'm going to keep it short and sweet this time, as I know we have a lot to cover. Since our last call, we have been busy strengthening the mechanisms by which we spread the news of our work, particularly on X, which you will likely have seen already in action in the last weeks. We're very happy with the additional reach and high quality followers it generated for us as we head into 2 important news weeks for us, and you will see the increased coverage tempo continue as we go forward. Recently, we announced the start of a huge RWA project with Trust Exchange, some excellent coverage produced by our partner Worldline, and announced our grant program. If you haven't seen any of this, make sure to check out our X timeline, especially the Worldline video, as it gives a sneak peek at what we are doing with them next. Now, ordinarily, I would go into more detail on these items, as on any other call, these would be big news on their own. But we have something even bigger to tell you about that I know Hugo is champing at the bit to cover. So let me instead finish by again saying that over these next 2 weeks, more than any other period, please get out there and share our content. What Hugo is about to announce will be something no other blockchain in history has achieved. So get out there and shout about it. With that said and done, and with a world first, Hugo, over to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Neo. So hi, everybody. Really happy to be here, as always. But again, it's a big day for us, a big step on our journey. Back in 2019, when Paddy and I started working on Minima, Minima's vision was to run a full node, making it accessible to everyone and everything, initially on a phone, but eventually on a car and even on a light bulb and a toaster. And people used to laugh at us when we talked about that. A full blockchain on a light bulb, ha ha ha, they used to say. But then we started on our journey. And in 2022, we launched our first APK on the Google Play Store. And then we had our full node running on mobiles. And by the end of that year, we had 250,000 full nodes running across 187 countries on phones. And today, I'm happy to announce that we've made a huge step closer to fulfilling the promise of putting a blockchain everywhere and embedding a secure blockchain nodes on everything from smart appliances, smart cars, industrial machines, IoTs, AI agents at the edge, and on light bulbs. Because following months of technical and commercial due diligence, we've been accepted onto ARM's flexible access program, which means that we can start the process of putting Minima on chip. And the announcement has probably just gone out in the last few minutes. But no, imagine a full Minima node on chip. This chip will be able to provide each device with its own secure node capable of verifying data integrity, also generating tokens and also enabling peer-to-peer messaging. Regarding the access program, there are only 70 companies in the world on this program. And what it does is it will allow us to leverage ARM's architecture to design a chip that meets the unique requirements of running a full blockchain node on smallest devices. And this program will allow us also to tap into a vast array of other partners and processor technologies to optimize Minima's performance on chip. To give you context, because obviously, ARM isn't a name like Tesla or Nvidia in terms of on everyone's lips, but ARM is huge. 70% of the world's population uses ARM-based products. There are 300 billion ARM-based chips shipped to date. 300 billion chips to date. 99% of all smartphones run on ARM-based processors, and 50% of all chips are processors are ARM-based. So, we are now collaborating with a giant in the area of chip manufacturing and chip design. We're very excited to be part of that journey. And obviously, as Neo said, it makes us the first and only layer one that's compact enough to be embedded in full on a chip. So the the movement towards putting Minima on a light bulb is one step closer. So very excited about that. You may ask, why is a chip so important? Because it's already running on a phone, isn't it? But what I thought I would do is give you the reason why a chip is so important from one of our customers' perspectives. So what I'd like to do, because obviously what we're effectively able to do is we're able to provide each device with its own secure node that can do the data verifying and the generation of tokens, but also it can do this without compromising the primary functions of the device itself. And so this is, I think, a very good point to hand over to Patrik, who, aka Viking, who is the lead system designer at Volvo, one of our customers and collaborators. And so I'm going to hand over to Patrik to give a customer's perspective on why having Minima on chip is such a huge advancement and so important. So yeah, over to you, Patrik.
Thank you, Hugo. Hello all. Can you hear me well?
Yep.
Great. All right. So thank you for the introduction, and I work as a lead system designer in Volvo Car. I also do freelancing within automotive and blockchain, reviewing industry standards, possibilities, and share my industry reports. So I will share you a specific use case and a specific industry report we've been working on for some time. And the topic of discussion is to enhance data recorders with blockchain technology and also event data recorder. So this is a regulation like the aviation's black box that is now regulated since 2022 within automotive industry to record event data and therefore critical data, usually from incidents, any type of incidents within self-driving cars above SAE level 3. So that's essentially all cars that is delivered nowadays. So I will share with you the importance of data integrity in automotive systems, introduction into blockchain in automotive industry, and also focus mostly on the topic today about data recorders. So what are data recorders? So the definition is that it's a device that captures and stores vehicle data during operations. And key functions such as speed, braking, acceleration, and other critical parameters and snapshots that needs to be recorded. And it is a regulatory requirement, so it's mandated by regulations that the goal is to enhance data safety and accountability, in this case, vehicle safety and accountability. The regulatory background, it was regulated in 2022. The actual regulation is dash 545. There are other global regulations on different regulatory environments. So the purpose of the regulation is to improve road safety, but also to facilitate accident analysis and liability determination. Challenges. There is one key challenge with the traditional legacy way of solving things. They are based on trust rather than proof. We have trusted middlemen. So data integrity risks. So I would say potential tampering and unauthorized access. So what is the solution? Blockchain as a solution. Why blockchain? So it has the possibility of immutable and tamper-evident data records. That's number one. Number two in the case is decentralized verification and enhanced data security. And the benefits for data recorders would be enhanced data integrity and improved trustworthiness in the recorded data. And the use cases in data recorders regarding blockchain is is I will name 4 key points here from the report, and that is data integrity verification. So secure hashing and digital signatures of event data that has been recorded. Incident analysis is another key point. So immutable logs for accurate post-incident investigations. And regulatory compliance, automated compliance reporting and auditing, creating trails. Insurance claims is also another important. It's not connected to the OEMs or on producer level, but insurance claims is also an important aftermarket or third-party point. So reliable data for faster and fairer claim processing. So instead of just to capture the insurance part here, instead of having a third-party insurance for a technical consultant that review and dig into the data and actually investigate everything, you create an audit trail. Blockchain provides an audit trail that can be with enabling tools just to review a report instead. That takes out the middleman. That takes out any technical consultant use case or needs. And let's go to next slide, and that is the role of system on chip. Just to give you a grasp of what this enables. Okay, I would say this enables and bridge the possibility of integrating blockchain powered devices in embedded systems, in any IoT devices, in automotive, aviations, maritime. So this is a huge enabler. So this actually makes it possible to have in time critical systems and also to run it on low power devices with stringent requirements on speed, memory constraints, etc. All synonymous to embedded applications. So what is SoC? What is system on chip? So it's an integrated circuit that consolidates all components of a computer or an electronic system. And why system on chip for blockchain integrations? So 4 key points here to keep in mind, and as an enabler is it isolates itself from critical systems. So it ensures that the blockchain functions do not interfere with the operations in the vehicle, in the IoT device. It can be a drone, it can be an aircraft, it can be a maritime application. So that makes it even applicable in any type of safety systems or embedded systems. So you do have enhanced security. So you have robust protection against tampering, hacking. Non-disruptive integration is one. So seamless addition of blockchain services without altering the existing systems. It's very critical for any type of safety system, such as automotive, aviation. I mean, you are certified with the specific designs. You have different certifications on EMC, performance, and other indicators that is very important, that needs to be isolated from the system itself. Scalability and flexibility. So future updates and regulatory applications can be considered. So it's a part of the system, but it's not at the same time. I mean, it's an integration. I mean, system on chip is the optimal solution to embed, especially in automotive systems, but any type of safety or critical systems that carries people or something that is regulated. And the key advantages is it's efficient and compatible. It uses less CPU and memory, perfect for embedded systems and edge computing. Another key advantage would be reliable data verification. You can, in the case of Minima, as we reviewed also as well, as many other, that was part of my freelance study to carry back to OEMs, is can run as a full or limited node, ensuring the data integrity on the edge. The SoC, the system on chip integration, is fairly easy, so it simplifies the design and reduces cybersecurity concerns on the application layer. It is streamlines for any OEM in the industry. So avoids complexities with external applications, offering a better option for OEMs. And specifically in the case of Minima, I will take out, sorry, the next slide here. So to break down that Minima is the only option that we found in the review, and when I carry back my freelance study, is Minima have unique capabilities such as edge computing compatibility. So the only blockchain that is capable of running a full validating node on the edge. Minima is the only one of the date of the industry report that has designed their own system on chip tailored for blockchain integration into embedded systems or any type of system, really. So the advantages for automotive and embedded system is that this perfectly aligns with embedded systems and the requirements that is for automotive applications. It is optimized then by design for low power, high efficiency operation typically needed in automotive environments. It also, you can call it future-proof technology because it ensures compatibility with evolving automotive standards and any type of standards and technologies. It's always compatible and integratable when you have a system on chip. So the conclusion itself is that Minima do stand out as the only blockchain solution that is fully compatible with embedded system and automotive use cases and others, making it the ideal choice for integrating into any type of data recorders. And I will leave you, before I have 2 more slides, but the summary of benefits, just to summarize it, it's a lot of information, is that it ensures tamper-proof and authentic. So what it ensures is that the event data recorded ensures tamper-proof and authentic data. It's a proof, not a trust. Adheres to standards. Operational efficiency, I would say seamless integration without disrupting existing systems. That's a huge enabler. Otherwise, it wouldn't even be considered by any type of OEM or any safety systems to be integrated in. And the last point is it has a flexible framework that is adaptable to future technology advancement. So it's no built-in dependencies on today's design. And I would say also the final thoughts on the conclusion would be that blockchain technology that is integrated via SoCs, the system on chip, it offers the domain robust solutions for enhancing data recorders, and it also positions automotive and other domains for future advancement in data management and security. I think we can leave it for that, and maybe if you have any questions, 2 or 3, I'm willing to answer those.
Thank you very much, Patrik. Indeed, if there are any questions, I will ask them to you later on in the call. And for those of you who don't know him, but I expect everyone to know him, Spartacus Rex is on stage. He joined us mid-call, so hello, welcome. Now moving on.
No, just to fill in there. I mean, I think so. What I think is so interesting from our perspective is that from embedding a full node on device, this isn't attaching a device to a blockchain. This is actually making a device part of the blockchain, and that is something that I think is something, that is where we are differentiating ourselves from all other chains within the deep-in sphere and everything like that. We're actually making devices part of the blockchain themselves. Paddy, can you hear us now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry, I've turned the headphones off. No, I just wanted to say the fact that you can't hard fork a toaster. You certainly shouldn't put a fork in a toaster at any point. You can't hard fork a toaster, and so it's important that the protocol being finished is also a very important step in this idea of putting a system on chip. So that's pretty exciting stuff, actually. And if I could just get nerdy for a few seconds, since we're talking tech, can I get nerdy? Like with ARM, just wanted to say that this relates to Minima because Minima has a very KISS philosophy. Keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, that's how we sort of do things at Minima. You don't want to be complicated. And interestingly, the reason ARM took over the world was before ARM, there were lots of chips, and they were called CISC chips, complex instruction set chips. They were called CISC. and you had the 68,000 and the Amigas and all of this stuff, if anybody remembers those days. And then ARM came along and they had a RISC chip, which is a reduced instruction set chip, which means the number of different instructions they gave you to play around with was way less. And the chip was way faster. If anybody remembers the Archimedes, we had the BBC Micro, and then they came out with the Acorn Archimedes, which was just so fast. And the reason they took over the world because they took the KISS mentality and they rolled with it. And instead of going complicated, they said, no, let's do the opposite of going complicated, which is really hard. And they did the RISC chip, and that's the one that's taken over the world. And as I'm sure you know, ARM is what funds all the mobile phones and all the everything. So it is pretty exciting stuff to be with them. And I just think that design philosophy-wise, we're actually, a good matchup, good pair for each other. Right, sorry, that's what I wanted to say about the nerd stuff.
No, thank you for the insight, Paddy. I absolutely did not know what you were talking about, so it's very interesting. Now, I think we're going to move on to right. So hold on. So it's quite simple. We've got an app that's going to be added to the ecosystem App Store, something I'm going to speak about a little later. But essentially, this app is called Vox. And we asked someone from Vox to join us on stage to talk about it. And they said that having any one person present, the project would go against what Vox stands for. It's not a company, it's not a product, it's not a business, and it doesn't have a CEO or a leader, and it doesn't yet have a spokesperson, which is why I'm the one presenting it. It's a protocol that belongs equally to everyone who uses it. They asked us to read out the following statement. Vox is a new way of doing media. It's a revolutionary experiment in community, journalism, and freedom. Vox is short for Vox Populi, the voice of the people. Vox is a MiniDapp, which has been built exclusively on the only ecosystem in the world that can support it, which is the Minima blockchain. Minima makes Vox possible, and in return, Vox aims to get Minima its first 1 million users. The Vox MiniDapp combines the best parts of Twitter, Reddit, and Substack, and then adds micro-tipping, allowing anyone to write posts, start conversations, or do long-form journalism and get paid for it. When people like your content, you earn actual money, directly, instantly, and without fees. The Vox protocol is just a few lines of code that anyone can access for free. It exists only on device, no cloud, no servers, no hierarchy. It truly belongs to its users. No owner pulling the strings, no algorithms deciding what you see, no advertising polluting your feed, no corporate interests, no servers to hack, no shadow bans, no censorship, no manipulation, and no shareholders. Just a community of equals sharing ideas, supporting what they value, and building something together. The first 100 users will likely shape what the platform looks like for the next 100,000. No one has ever tried an experiment quite like this before. We are the first, Minima is the first, and you are the first. Early adopters will be handsomely rewarded. There are no prizes for just turning up, but being in early and helping to grow the community will give you direct financial benefits. The first Vox prototype will be released to whoever is in the Vox Discord server by December the 12th. I will put the link in the chat. Invites for the first cohort are limited and will be distributed on a first-come, first-served basis. We believe that the future of humanity relies on the free exchange of information between free people. No one can give you your freedom. Freedom must be taken. Join us. It's quite good. It's quite well written. Let me just put the link in the chat. So if some of you are interested in downloading this MiniDapp and using it, then, I wasn't able to post it. Then you can join the Discord link that I'm just about to put in the chat. Paddy, is there anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, I'd like to summarize it as unstoppable on-chain twatter. So it's basically our version of Twitter running, not ours, whoever it is that wrote it. But it's Minima's version of an unstoppable version of Twitter that runs on chain, which is very exciting, frankly. And I look forward. And it's also, the first proper, I'd like to think of it as the first proper application that somebody from the community has gone ahead and written. We've got, there's others which are good. I feel this one has maybe a slightly larger appeal. But this one should be should be interesting. And I'm quite interested in seeing what is said. For me, from a technical point of view, I don't know if any of you have seen the shout out application, which has been not a success, which is the one I wrote. But that's because the first bite is taken with the eye, and this is something that I've not taken to heart and still don't understand. And so what interests me is the technology. And what's interesting is that Vox actually completely correctly used the technology that shout out was written on, this method of broadcasting messages to everybody on the network, signed and, nice way of doing it so you couldn't fake messages, etc., etc., and then integrated them into this this application that they've written. So it's a sort of stacks on top of that DApp by using the technology, which is what the original internet was written on. Websites used to be right-click, view source, I copy. With that's how the internet was written. MiniDapps are like that, because when I give you the MiniDapp, it's like you have everything. You have all the source code, you have everything. So anything in there that you like, you could take. Yeah, that's how it should be. And this is a great example of that. So very powerful protocol. Interesting to see what happens actually, and what people talk about. And a different UI to the same backend protocol makes all the difference. And so it didn't work when we did it on shout out. Something about the way that it works was too something didn't work. Yeah, that's fine. I take full responsibility for that. But maybe using the same technology with a different front end will have a very different result. And I think it will. It looks totally different. You wouldn't even know if I hadn't told you that with the same back end protocol, just running a different front end, with some bells and whistles. But yeah, looking forward to seeing what happens to it. Good luck to everyone on that.
Thank you, Paddy. So yes,
just to add to that. Sorry, I mean, I think the other interesting thing, sorry to add to that, is obviously there's an incentive as well for people to do stuff because they get tipped. And as we know, everyone needs incentive to do things. So I think that is a small but very important feature.
That's a very good point. It adds in this element of you can be tipped with Minima. If you write something interesting, they can say, I'll give him a Minima. I'll give him 1 Minima for writing that. Frankly, that might be the crucial element. Show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcome. And maybe just saying stuff isn't enough of an incentive, whereas getting paid is the ultimate incentive, whether we like it or not. That's how the world works. And so that's a very good point. That is the fundamental difference. If you can get paid for your tips, by tipping people. Great, very good point.
Maybe you're finally going to move from. Maybe you're finally going to move from Bitcoin talks to Vox, Paddy. Was that not the Bitcoin forum you were using?
Yeah, I shout on Vox. I've stopped on the centralized ones. They don't interest me anymore. It's I like Chatter and I like decentralized protocols. I don't like anybody being able to stop me. And the fact that they can makes you not want to use the application because you think, well, look, what if I become really big? And they stop me and there's nothing I can do about it. Like Google and Android when they took down Terminal IDE. But let's not go there.
As always, feel free to ask questions in the Stage Questions chat regarding Vox. And otherwise, I've put the Discord link successfully in both the chat and the Stage Questions channel. I will now move on with our tech update. So let me just find my text. Thank you. On our last call, Jasmine mentioned that we had 4 main points to focus on. Jasmine is usually the one that does this, by the way. Unfortunately, she's not with us today, so I'm going to have to do it in her stead. But she mentioned 4 points to focus on. So number 1 was improving the experience of 4 existing node runners. Number 2 was developing methods for increased public interaction with Minima. Number 3 was integrations with partners, exchanges, and other third parties. And number 4 was improving the developer experience. Now, I won't be able to provide a technical update as good as Jasmine, but I'm happy to say that we've made massive improvements since then. Firstly, we're glad to announce that our crash and error rates on the Play Store have gone down to 1%, which was our target number and was achieved in only a few months. Secondly, the public wallet, which has been a subject of discussion for a long time now, is finally coming to its final stage of production and should be shared with you all very soon. This includes an iOS app that is currently being internally tested. Thirdly, Paddy will cover this a little after, hopefully. But our recent integrations with MEXC and Bitmart are the perfect example that Minima can shape itself and shift into various ecosystems. And finally, as you may have noticed, we now have a new docs website, as well as our block explorer. In addition to this, the full release of our build website, which serves as a hub for developers or visionaries. And we've announced our grants program is being launched yesterday. So since October, there's been a lot of things going on. We recently also had some interns working with us who finished their work who finished their work with us prior to the Christmas period, and they will be back in January to continue what they were working on. So we hope to be able to show you. Paddy?
Yeah, it was interesting actually watching this. I mean, if I can just go over, so the first bit you said about integration with Bitmart and MEXC, I think is very interesting. That's what the 1.043 release was really. It was all the little bits. This is, I'd have to say, the first time that we've actually had to integrate Minima into a functioning business, so that on a daily basis they're whacking the Minima servers. Yeah, so we've done stuff with cars and we've done some demos and we've been doing some timestamping and all of that stuff, and that's great. I'm not sure that was mission critical stuff. There wasn't anybody's actual money on the line. And funnily enough, exchanges are sort of the sharp edge. They're the sharp edge of the stick, really, because when you integrate with an exchange, that's money. People send Minima, they exchange the Minima for something, they withdraw the money. It's like, that's actually a thing. And having to integrate into two businesses was interesting, and novel, and definitely showed up lots of little interesting things. That some things work really well and some things didn't work. And we have this Minima Enterprise Gateway, MEG, that we give to businesses so that they can integrate Minima into their businesses correctly. And we have to obviously make changes on that to accommodate them. And in the first week, there was a lot of chat in the Telegram technical integration chat. And then in the second week, there was less chat. And then last week, there wasn't a lot of chat at all. And this week, there's no chat at all. And so I think I think we've got there, and that's very, very heartening, to see Minima actually now running into businesses on a daily basis, sending and receiving money, all of that. I think that's really, really cool. This leads on to the integration for developers with our build website, and they're using that. And we had the Swedish interns writing some applications, and actually that was also very interesting, which revealed a lot, because watching people, what you're not allowed to do is tell them, they don't get, not everybody gets the benefit of having me going there. No, this is how you do it. No, nobody, you shouldn't get that. They have to do it without us, without the Minima team telling them how to do it. They have to use the same, the same documents and the same things that everybody gets access to. So we really tried to do that. And it was just like, we said, look, what are you going to write? They actually wrote a very interesting multi-signature MiniDapp for managing the multi-sig function. I don't know if any of you have used that function. It's quite a powerful function. It allows you to, there's not a lot of, multi-signature technology out there. It sounds like it should be totally standard and everybody should know how to do it. I hear all the Bitcoiners going, yeah, have you got your money in multi-sig? And it's like, have you ever tried doing a multi-sig on Bitcoin? And frankly, have you ever tried doing it on Ethereum? Have you tried doing a multi-sig on any of these chains? It's a total nightmare. And Minima has a function that allows you to do it called multi-sig. And you can create a coin that multiple signatures are required to spend and blah, blah, blah. And they wrote a MiniDapp front end for that. And after the first 2 or 3 weeks of them getting lost and not understanding and what is a UTXO system, it's very different to the account-based system. It takes a while to get your head around these things. But that was very telling. And again, helped us to shape our build website into thinking, we're going to have to tell people more about this. And they didn't really understand this. Oh, they got that bit, but they didn't get this bit. So it's always interesting to see how people play with this stuff. Bitmart with the businesses, because basically with the business, we gave them a whole API. We wrote this whole thing. We said, yeah, this is how you should do it. And they totally didn't use that. They used some totally different system. And it was like, oh God, that's not how you're meant to be using it. And then it's fine. It works. And that's to be expected. And it's like, you tell them this is how you think they should use it. And that's not how they drove your car. They were like, well, actually, we were doing this. We were skid turning around the corners. It's like, all right, we'll deal with it. We'll do it. And it was the same with the developers in Sweden. We thought they'd do it this way, and then they did it a totally different way. But that's the beauty of coding and integration. So, yeah, as Neo said, what I will say though is that clearly quite a lot has happened in the last, in the last 3 or 4 months. In a big way, we're much more open to external developers coming in, whether they be businesses, because now we've integrated with a couple, we know we can do it, or whether this is with, young bucks from university who don't really know what they're doing and they want to get stuck in, and it's like, all right, and they actually did that too. So on both those fronts, very positive stuff, and we've done some good work. The whole team is really pulled together. Very happy with it. Very good.
Thank you, Patty. Sorry, I wasn't done with my update, but it's fine. Actually, it was a perfect break, because now I can say that we've just covered what we have worked on and the improvements we've made, and I was going to go over the things that are coming. So I can't talk much about these things. All I can say is that they're quite near. But essentially, well, firstly, sorry, let me get 1.0.43 out of the way. So since our last community call in October, we also released version 1043 to address certain issues with the way transactions were being found, as well as some various bugs. And we added DApp store notifications. So those are some cool additions and fixes. Some of you may also have noticed the new ecosystem DApp store. So we are still sorting things out, but this will serve as a hub for you to find community developer dApps screened by us. We will also announce this once it's ready, once we start using it. We'd also like to mention that we've been working on a TypeScript library for MiniDapps on Minima. It isn't complete for now, but this will also be announced once it is ready. It will include the following features. So if there are any developers in here, I hope this is interesting to you. So there will be full TypeScript integration. Developers can enjoy complete type safety across their entire MiniDapp development workflows. There will be modern async interface built on promises for clean, efficient, asynchronous operations. And it is a comprehensive blockchain integration, so type-safe functions for seamless interaction with the Minima blockchain. Essentially, this facilitates the development of MiniDapps. Paddy, you can talk about this as well if you want a little bit after. I'm going to give you the mic in just a second, but to conclude this update, we've also been working on an NFT marketplace MiniDapp. Our testers have been making use of it, and we are ironing out a few bugs before we get ready to share it with you all. If some of you don't know this, I'm not personally with the tech team, but overall, as I've assisted to the dev calls and watched from afar, the development team has made clear improvements in their work as MiniDapps, and releases have been shipped out in a more efficient way. They've also been delivering much better products to the community and will keep growing and getting better at these things. So it feels good to be able to look back and say these things. Now, Paddy, the floor is yours. I have nothing left to say.
I think the DApp store is a very underappreciated factor in this whole system. So the MiniDapp system is, frankly, very, very cool. Yeah, you all know that I love the whole MetaMask idea, the idea that you can write a website that somehow integrates with a blockchain. That was a genius idea. Yeah, that really expanded the use. The only problem with MetaMask is that it's totally centralized. Fine. That aside, the idea of writing websites that can integrate into blockchains is cool because there's lots of web developers, and so there's lots of people who can do this. The MiniDapp system, in my opinion, affects that system and allows you to write these self-contained applications that are basically websites that integrate with the blockchain. But along with that comes the DApp store. Now, currently, I know that the only real DApp store is the Minima one. But the whole point about the DApp store is that anybody can run one. The whole point about the DApp store is that it's just a JSON on a website where you can download applications, but anybody can host a DApp store anywhere. And this community DApp store that we've started, as Neo said, is going to be a place where we put, I think Vox is going up there. Yeah, it's not one of our applications, it's a community website. We have about 4 or 5 different applications that are going to be going into the community DApp store, but somewhere where what we'll do is we won't, I can't guarantee the apps will look nice, and I can't guarantee that there'll be apps that you want to use or whatever, but we will look at them and we will check to see whether they try to do anything dodge. And if we don't think, which is pretty hard, frankly, it's not easy to be able to debug somebody else's code. If you want it to be dodged, all I can say is never run. You should be very careful about running apps in write mode. Read mode, you're safe because I can't spend your coins. The most I can do is do some pending transactions and you can just forget about it. But write mode, you got to trust the app. So for the community dApps, be very careful when to decide to put them into write mode. I run the apps in write mode. I love running in write mode. I put all my coins in Vault, and then I have my current, my current account, my savings account, and then if they pinch like 100 Minima, it's like, okay, fine, it's a matter. Not that that's happened, not that there's anything being gone, but that is something to think about. But the community dApps is going to be interesting now because we can put up some dApps in there which are not, Minima backed, which are yours, which are, bringing them out in this decentralized system where even if the Minima dApp store went down, imagine if Apple did let you run your own app stores. We've seen what a total nightmare they've made of this. And so I think the DApp store is a really nice feature, the fact that any of you can write, but you should be running your own DApp store, really. All the developers should have their own DApp store, and that's where they can publish their updates and everything. And as Leo mentioned, we've now got a system in the DApp store that notifies you when there's new versions of the DApp, and so that you can download it. So really nice decentralized tech. As always, that's the key word: decentralized tech. And the DApp store is cool. The MiniDapp system is cool, and there's some good, good stuff coming out now. So very impressive.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go over a few questions. As we're about 15 minutes away. So the first question I've written down is for you, Paddy, actually, and it was an interesting question that I saw initially on Telegram from a user called Paul. And he asks, Minima implements tokens as colored coins like Bitcoin does, unlike tokens in Ethereum. Colored coins did not take off, so I am wondering why colored coins were chosen as the method of creating tokens on Minima.
Good question. Firstly, tokens on Ethereum are just a database. That's why the chain gets so bloated. So all they do is they just create a database with a whole new set of tokens. They're not anything to do with, colored coins are good because they give you exactly the same functionality as the base coin. So when you're using a colored coin, any smart contract that you were using for Minima works just as well for the token. So that means that anything that you can do with Minima, you can do with tokens, which is nice. Yeah. I'm not even quite sure you could do that. You can't really do that with an ERC20. You can do some things. You can do everything you can do with ETH with an ERC20. Whereas with a token on Minima, you could do everything that you can do on Minima with a token. It's also a very clean system. It sort of makes sense. You can visualize it. You understand what's going on. I'm coloring a little bit of Minima. I'm not increasing anything. There's no, it's a very efficient system. It doesn't require any more memory. Yeah, it doesn't require a completely separate database of transactions. It's like it's all running on the same system. It was just a really elegant way of doing it. The reason it didn't work on Bitcoin was because on Bitcoin we had to remember the outputs. Yeah, it was quite a complicated system to get it to work. And frankly, it was up to the client to see if it, implemented the correct colored coin protocol to get it to work. Whereas on Minima, as always, with the benefit of hindsight, we managed to actually integrate a token ID. And that's really the only difference between Minima and a token, is that Minima has a token ID of 0x00, you may have noticed, and a token has a token ID, which is a 32-byte hash of some data that is there, some random data when the token is created. But otherwise, they're the same, which means you get exactly the same functionality without any bloat, and it just runs in the same way, which I think is a nice, efficient way of doing it, frankly.
Thank you, Paddy. Next question is for you, Hugo, because you look like you'd like to use a bit of time under the light. So it's from Jason Voorhees, who says, if I am not mistaken, it was mentioned that Minima has a partnership with WeTransfer. Could you please share an update on the current status of this collaboration? Are there any applications or developments planned in this direction?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, that was a partnership with WeTransfer end of 2022, beginning of 2023, where they funded the initial phase of our NFT marketplace. They were particularly interested in the sort of the self-sovereign ownership of NFTs, because effectively everyone running a full node means that they have self-sovereign ownership of those NFTs, and they can actually create NFTs on their device themselves as well. Obviously, 2023 was not a good year for NFTs, and it was also not a good year for media and advertising companies in terms of funding and sort of the macro situation with sort of on the sort of in the economy meant that funds were sort of put on hold at certain points in 2023. So we effectively put on hold the NFT marketplace, but as mentioned just recently, or just a few minutes ago on the call, we are about to launch our NFT marketplace, and so we will be restarting those conversations with WeTransfer as well. I mean, we're working on a number of areas, not just sort of on the artist side, but also on the automotive side. As a lot of you who've been following the project for a while over the last few months will have know that we are looking at sort of NFTs generated on the cars as well, and the ability to actually sort of purchase NFTs directly from race vehicles as well. So there's lots of areas we're looking at, but yeah, we are continuing to talk with WeTransfer as well. So yeah, watch this space.
Thank you, Hugo. Next one is from list 2, and it's for you, Paddy. What's the solution for on-chain or off-chain large data storage and access?
Yeah, the solution is don't do it. Is what I'd say. You can store the hashes of data. You can't store the data. Actually, well, I take that back. Minima has a nice system where you store the data that's relevant to you. So if you start sending yourself data, what happens is that your node starts getting bigger because you're storing data, like you put it in the state variables and coins that you send yourself. Nobody else stores it. I don't store your data. I only store my data. I store the coins that are valuable to me, and you store the coins that are valuable to you. And when we make a transaction, we use the proofs of those coins to show each other. So the actual data is lossless. Yeah, we do have a database that's a terabyte big, but it's just that I only keep a couple of megabytes of it, and you keep a couple of megabytes of it. If you're, I think you're more saying, look, how do I put loads of data on the blockchain so that everybody can do it? And the bottom line is you can't. That just doesn't scale. Yeah, if everybody could put all their data on a blockchain, that blockchain would be Ethereum, and you'd have 20 terabytes of data, and no one would be able to run it. So unfortunately, that's not really. It's not a computation engine. Blockchains are verification engines. You want your blockchain to verify stuff. Totally cool. The idea that everybody verifies everything, everybody gets. The idea that everybody computes everything is madness. There's no point us all working out that 6 times 3 is 18. Yeah. I want the proof that I want to prove that that's true, but I don't want everybody to calculate it. We don't need to just divide 18 by 6, and if I get 3, it's the answer. Yeah, with the fact there's no point us all factorizing a big number. Just give me the 2 numbers, and if they multiply together, I can verify that they equal the big number. But getting everybody to factor everything—that's the difference between computation and verification. The blockchain is for verification; it's not for computation, and it's not a general database for storing stuff. I'm sorry. So I'm going to say you're not allowed to do that.
No, absolutely. But the question specifically, I'm just reading it through now, is for on-chain or off-chain. So obviously, off-chain storage is very different. There are lots of solutions for that.
That's what Patrik was talking about. You want to timestamp data and you want to prove its existence, and you want to do that. That's fine. If you want to be able to have large amounts of data, that's totally fine. And you want to prove that that data hasn't been tampered with or hasn't done anything. But actually storing the data on the blockchain, I don't see it. It just blows. It's just not something that is scalable in terms of billions of people running the same device. Yeah, unless you yourself want to store that data, which is fine, which I don't think is what you're talking about. I'm afraid that's not what a blockchain is used for.
Okay, well, thank you, Paddy. I already knew what you were going to say. Another question for you, Hugo. It's related to ARM, and it's from the mighty Danik. He says, ARM does not produce processors. The ARM only gives a license to use the architecture. Who will be the manufacturer or designer? Or will ARM provide architecture with Minima to all manufacturers who want it at once?
So yeah, good question. Yeah, they're absolutely right. ARM don't produce processors. What they have the license to do the architecture, and that's exactly what we'll be having access to. But they also give us access through this program to approved designers as well. So we will be announcing shortly our first partnership with a chip designer that is approved by ARM to start that process. And then obviously we then go through the process of the production as well. So we're looking at sort of 18 to 24 months to actually have a sort of a finalized chip. But this is the process that we're on. I mean, like we've always said, I mean, we are building something for the long term. These things take a long time, but you have to get on that journey. And we are very excited to be now firmly on that journey to make this happen.
Thank you, Hugo.
The point about working with ARM is that, look, when ARM do a SHA-256, module on their chip, that means all their chips gets it, which means that module gets into 300 million devices, 300 billion devices. Yeah? I think every year Vodafone get 4 billion, ARM chips into their phones or whatever. So if you come up with a blockchain module, which ARM go, oh, that's quite nice, maybe we'll integrate that into our next, evolution of chip. That means every single phone gets it for free. Yeah, and just to say that the reason I really like the chip thing is efficiency, speed. Running it on a chip this big, 7 nanometer, without having to actually interpret the language, run it as code, do it through a JVM, all of that stuff. You bypass all of that. You could get 1,000 times throughput, 1,000 times throughput on exactly the same amount of power usage. Yeah, that's how inefficient running software on chips can be, as opposed to actually running a chip, an FPGA or whatever. So those are the sort of improvements and advancements you can get. And if you're in bed with ARM, yeah, if you're being cheeky and they think this is nice, yeah, that means you're basically in bed with 300 billion chips a year. So that's not a guarantee. I'm not saying we're definitely going to do it, but we're definitely making the right moves with the right people, and so that could be very interesting.
Thank you, Paddy. Patrik, if you're there, I've got a question from Joe. Okay, cool. I saw you on mute. So Joe's asking, how do you envisage Minima chip hardware will be integrated with the AutoSAR framework?
Well, that's very interesting, and it's very hard to answer. I think it will be. I mean, AutoSAR is not used by all nodes in the car. Many of them utilize AutoSAR, all the mechanic rim nodes. I don't see any issues as it's a system on chip. However, it is basically depending on what node in the system architecture that it should run on, and essentially I don't see any capability issues in integrating in an AutoSAR platform. Maybe I can get some more specific question around the AutoSAR.
Well,
for a specific to give a specific answer, I need a little bit more specific question.
I can't do more specific than that. I can only suggest
okay. We can put Joe and Patrik
exactly
together. That's fine.
Exactly.
That's fine.
Get them in contact.
Cool. Okay. Good stuff.
Cool.
Excellent. Thank you, Neo. Great session, and thank you everyone for coming. As you say, we've got lots going on at the moment, so thank you for all coming and listening. And as always, please, where you can, share and retweet and everything like that, comment on everything that we're up to, just to get the word out there, because we've got some very exciting things happening right now, and we want everyone to know about it. So all your support is much appreciated. So yeah, keep an eye out for us. We're doing lots. We'll be announcing lots as from today onwards. So yeah, really exciting times, and great to have you all here. Thank you.